I've had to get up and relearn to walk 3 times in my life. The first time, I was only 4. Synovitis in my hip, hospitalized for weeks, missing kindergarten while my friends kept going. I don't remember much, just confusion about why my legs wouldn't work. The second time, I was 26. A car accident put me in a wheelchair for months. I was nearing the end of a doctoral program, committed to an internship in another state only a few months later. This time, I remember everything. The fear of my career being derailed, and the determination to prove I could still do it all. The third time was different. My legs worked fine, but I had to learn to walk forward differently. 12 years ago, I gave birth to stillborn twin girls. The first 2 times, I got up. I healed my body, reduced my symptoms. I thought that was enough. The third time, I had to transform the story. Because, you see, for years, I thought these were 3 separate traumas. But there was a pattern. I kept learning the same devastating lesson. My body can't be trusted. At 4, my body can fail me. At 26, it can fail again, destroy my timeline, and threaten my career. At 39, it can fail at the most fundamental of things, sustaining the lives of my daughters, Hannah and Ashley. And that loss brought me to my knees again, because I was grieving with a nervous system that had already learned my body was dangerous territory. Those old wounds weren't healed. They were waiting. And this loss broke them open. It flattened me. And I was barely able to rise. The first 2 times, I focused on physical recovery. Could my legs hold me? Could I walk without pain? And I did heal. I could walk, work, and function. My symptoms reduced. I thought that was enough. But friends, symptom reduction is not the same as healing. My legs worked fine, but I was carrying a belief system that said, you're broken, so you can't. I was functional, but far from healed. Healing required something different, not just reducing symptoms, but transforming the meaning. Helping my nervous system understand that, yes, devastating things happen, but no, it wasn't my fault. Yes, I'm broken, but I can get up. Getting up became less about my legs and more about the belief that I could. It's so important not to stop at symptom reduction, because when your story still says, you're broken, so you can't, there's deeper work to do. That work, for me, at 4, it was trusting adults would help. At 26, it was a lot of physical therapy. One step, and then another. It was also EMDR, a treatment for trauma, to reduce the nightmares, the hypervigilance, the avoidance, all the symptoms that wanted to keep me in a bed. At 39, mindfulness became survival. Staying in my body, even when it was the site of unbearable loss, breathing, even when breathing hurt. Can I be present for this moment? Can I take the next step? Most days, barely, but barely was enough to get up and start walking again. Friends, there is something that nobody tells you about being a mental health professional who needs treatment. The shame is excruciating. By the time the twins died, I was on a leadership trajectory, and I was falling apart, some days struggling to get out of bed. I thought, I'm too broken to be a leader. How can I lead if I'm this broken? What if they knew? Over time, I realized that shame, my shame, is the very stigma we'd been fighting. So I stopped hiding. Because the stigma that says healers can't need healing and leaders must be strong, that keeps people suffering alone. And we do not heal alone. My daughter was in kindergarten when her sisters died. About the same age I was when my legs first failed. She grieved, she was sad and confused, and then she played. She kept being 5. She showed me you can hold loss and still reach for joy. My husband walked his own grief. We held each other, not fixing, just being there while we each learned to walk again. In our church community, they held us all, bringing meals when I couldn't get up to cook, sitting in silence when there were no words, and reminding us that God's love doesn't prevent loss. It carries us through it. So I learned to carry loss, to let others help me when I couldn't stand alone, to get up and keep walking, not by willpower, not by being strong, but by staying in my body even when it hurt. My body still carries the memory of every trauma. My twins are still gone, but the meaning changed. It wasn't my fault. None of it. I can get up. I can walk. I can lead. I am a human who survived trauma and learned that hard days sometimes come after easier ones, and that's okay. And that healing isn't about willpower. It's about being honest and transforming the meaning. And that being a trauma survivor does not disqualify you. It qualifies you differently. But friends, I can't tell you that transformation means you're done. That once you get up, you stay up. Because life, it keeps happening. Earlier this year, a fire destroyed one of our buildings. And my body remembered that old response. You're too broken to lead through this. Don't let them see you struggle. Transformation didn't stop the automatic response, but it did allow me to notice it and to choose what to do next. I chose to stay present, to let the team see me struggle instead of hiding, to grieve and walk together. You can be a healer who needs healing, a leader who's still learning to walk. You're allowed to limp. I've had to get up and relearn to walk 3 times in my life. The first 2 times, I reduced my symptoms. The third time, I transformed the story. And now I know you never stop walking. You pause, notice the response, and choose the next step. Again and again. Walking and healing simultaneously. I'm Dr. Cynthia Whitaker, and this is my Brave.
I was born and never went back to sleep because my suprachiasmatic nucleus is a tempest. I never took naps. Even as a baby, I would be awakened by the smell of a skunk outside or the sound of a coyote in the woods. The blankets were too hot, too cold, or too uneven. I was sick all the time. Allergies, pneumonia, only pooping once a week, hemorrhoids since age 8, chickenpox twice, shingles in between, everything just out of sync from this suprachiasmatic nucleus tempest up here. Once, I begged my parents to throw me a birthday party, miraculously wasn't sick, and then I hid and cried in a crawl space. The sensory overload had just wrecked me. I'm constantly on edge with my senses because everything is too big, too strong, or too memorable. I hurled when I turned on the shower in New Mexico and the sulfur smell hit me. There's this crayon color that gives me the clearest non-crayon taste memory. I screamed and hid under the seats in Beauty and the Beast. My earliest memory is screaming, full throttle, at my parents. I can't tell you in my whole life how often I have heard, "What's wrong with you?" Or, "Why are you being like this?" It's my suprachiasmatic nucleus. It's the most influential part of your body you've probably never heard of. We usually call it the internal clock, but the suprachiasmatic nucleus is so much more than that. It's the conductor, which is meant to harmonize the entire orchestra of our cells, synapses, and body systems that animate meaningful life into our meat suits. Our suprachiasmatic nucleus is what keeps our circadian rhythm of when we awake with the light of day and fall asleep with the dark of night. It turns on histamine for allergies and regulates body temperature, hunger, digestion. It signals our immune system to get a game plan together for fighting germs. It sends out receptors so we experience our senses, and it groups neurons for managing our attention. It tells hormones and medicine where and when to go. It tunes in chemicals like oxytocin for connections and love, adrenaline for fear, dopamine and serotonin for joy, estrogen and testosterone for sexual health, and melatonin for sleep. The suprachiasmatic nucleus is designed to organize all of our body from the molecules up, but mine is a tempest. The first time I remember wanting to kill myself, I was 9 years old. An invisible fist smashed fear into my heart when I got a bad grade on a report card. Then I ran into the bathroom and I cried stifled, gasping sobs. I dissociated into the distance between me and the report card in my hand. I thought about how I would do it. My thoughts drifted to how I was expected to keep getting up for school, not just through 12th grade, but through college or then to work. Even though I needed very little sleep, it is excruciating getting up in the morning, and I would have to keep doing it. I didn't want to have to get up every morning, every day, indefinitely. The meaninglessness of getting up and going places. People kept making me get up and go places. I somehow went back to class. I don't remember how my suprachiasmatic nucleus and I are still here, having gotten up many, many more mornings. I would scream about having to get up in the morning. I would scream about having to go to bed. I screamed about not being allowed to listen to my radio at night. I screamed about being too hot. I screamed about being too cold. I screamed about my oral palate expansion plate. I screamed about wanting the lights to be on or off. I screamed about the smell of onions cooking. I screamed about being afraid all the time. I think I was just trying to scream over this tempest. And then I would crash. Maybe it was just the tempest spitting me out, but one last scream that happened many times. Fine, maybe I'll just kill myself. And I slammed the door to my room. Why are you being like this? Would come from the other side of the door. Sugar has always been a reliable pal. My dopamine and I, we love sugar. Not like a sweet tooth, not like some people get PMS chocolate cravings, though my period would last 8 heavy days with only 18 days in between. Thanks, suprachiasmatic nucleus. No, sugar stops the screaming. It makes me feel immeasurably better, and it is immediate. When I was in high school, I'd walk around mowing down tubs of icing or tubs of lemonade or iced tea mix. Yeah, the mix. I'd eat it like this with a spoon. With this damn tempest, I ate so many Tic Tacs that I got a free Tic Tac backpack. I've canceled work to go get Good and Plenty's. I know that I can eat 4 pounds of Twizzlers between here and Richmond, Indiana. I'd say I'm not going to eat anymore for at least an hour, but then I would come to, having never stopped eating them at all. I wouldn't have survived college without Twizzlers, and I wouldn't have finished graduate school without Lemonheads. When I got a job, I never got used to being there for 8 a.m. like everyone told me I would. Day 700 was just as miserable of a slog as day 7. I would be furious if my 8 a.m. appointment canceled. Because time is a meaningless construct, and my suprachiasmatic nucleus is a tempest, I just stopped showing up at 8. I would still peel myself out of bed to be there for 9, and then I would outperform everyone because I didn't have an off switch. Once I lied down in the parking lot at work, a friend took my picture and asked, "What's wrong with you?" What was wrong is I thought my depression was different. And it was. The symptoms I had weren't what I learned depression to be. Plus, I can be a little grandiose, but I had a job. I didn't sleep too much. I had a marriage, a mortgage, no substance abuse issues, was going out with friends, running half marathons, wanted to die every day, and had no vision of the future. But I'd never had a vision of the future, and I've been wanting to die since I was 9. So, whatever, you know? It's just that life is completely meaningless and hard in this meat suit. So, why bother? One time, I was going to kill myself. So I went to visit a friend in California, basically to say bye, and he unknowingly said something meaningful that I heard over the roar of all the desolation in this tempest. I came home and manufactured some meaning. The year I listened to all my CDs, every single one, no skipping tracks, I did it because I live with the tempest. The year of 13 M's. M is the 13th letter of the alphabet, so I hiked the 13 highest mountains in New Hampshire, went to 13 museums, saw 13 movies, etc. The year of 101 Martha Stewart things. The Abecedarium year, where B was for beekeeping, J for jet skiing, S for scuba diving. I joked that D was for divorce after C was for cheating. You know when you joke about things that aren't actually jokes. Then my therapist said, "I think you have bipolar disorder." And I said, "I don't have bipolar disorder. I don't buy 3 cars in a weekend and have sex with strangers." And she said, "No, I think you have bipolar 2. So I went to see a psychiatrist and I started on the medication, and the medication made me feel like I was going to crawl out of my skin for 2 days. So I started on a different medication, and then I realized that I hadn't wanted to kill myself for a few days. It's like when you've had a bad cold for a week and you slowly get better and you don't always realize when you're back at full capacity. When the tempest has passed and been reduced to gusts of wind and a drizzle, the internal clock, that suprachiasmatic nucleus, a bit more synchronized. Then I learned all about how my suprachiasmatic nucleus is a tempest and how it keeps me up until about 3 a.m. and doesn't wake my body up until about 10 a.m. I learned that people with bipolar perceive light differently, and now I understand why roommates always complained that it was too bright in the room or asked, "What's wrong with you? Why are you working in the dark with no lights on?" Why I can't always put my 5 senses in the right order, or why I have allergy sniffles year-round. Why I screamed. Why I love concerts where I can feel the bass vibrate my liver, and how at age 39, learned that the same high-fidelity earplugs I wear at concerts make all crowds easier. My suprachiasmatic nucleus is a tempest. This stuff is molecular for me. I can't just stay positive to move away from the depression, and I can't just use better sleep hygiene and routines to better align with the structure of our society. I can make things easier. I'm paying down my bipolar back taxes, thousands of dollars in credit card debt. I've learned that the shape of my oral palate is correlated to people diagnosed with bipolar II disorder. I have a job where I get to set my own hours and my own days. I hardly have to apologize for screaming, and I cultivate joy and pleasure in ways which don't harm me or other people. That means I've maintained a relationship with a partner I am deeply in love with, and we compromise on how bright the lights are. And I get why people with bipolar disorder notoriously don't want to stay on their medication. I miss having a whole other day after work and effortlessly being an overperformer. The elements of what make up bipolar II and the related delayed sleep phase disorder are just there. They're just there, and they've always been there in ways unique to me. And it has been a privilege to get to learn about my suprachiasmatic nucleus and how it impacts every system in my body uniquely because I have bipolar II. Life is meaningless and hard in this meat suit, but maybe that's okay. I'm Stephanie, and this is my Brave.
Unfortunately, one of the things I'm really passionate about is spreading the word about suicide prevention. Every now and then when you're watching TV or just listening to the radio, you might hear it mentioned. There's no need not to talk about this, so why do I feel the need to write it down in these rhyming sentences? When people who feel this way feel like they're running for their life every day, dodging bullets and jumping fences. Well, friends who you thought were strong are sitting in their bed wondering how long they can hold on with their feelings being triggered because they feel all they can do is wrong. Unfortunately, society don't care enough about them because they're labeled weak and not mentally strong. Every time the phone rings, I'm hoping it's him, then you hear sadness in a voice telling me he's gone. And then you have the kids that believe they have no love from their family, believe they have no friends. Or they might be putting on his mask, laughing and smiling, doing that instead. Meanwhile, I was getting bullied or even picked on. I always wondered what was going through his head. When I was 17, I had this friend, we dropped him off. The next day, he took his life, now he's dead. When you love someone, you try to understand. Unfortunately, I didn't know he already had a plan. I thought I was doing the right thing, trying anything for him to open up. I don't think he can. I didn't understand how someone that seems so happy can take his own life. I wish I could have been there to hold his hand. That's a very hard concept to believe that he would hurt himself, but with his mental illness, he didn't stand a chance. I always regret not telling him how strong he was, how hard he had it. And most of all, I was his biggest fan. Sometimes I pray to trade places with him just so I had an opportunity to grow up and become a man. So every night I'm on my knees praying, hoping I can understand, but unfortunately that's all part of God's plan.
June 2020 is when our family's lives changed forever. My nephew, Josh's son, Tyler, lived with mental illness most of his young life. But Tyler was not just his illness. He was a funny, loving, full-of-life teenager who was always there to greet you with a hug and a smile. He could brighten any day without even trying. He had an infectious laugh and a smart wit humor with a touch of sarcasm that would sometimes get him into trouble. Some of my favorite memories are our family camping trips, where every night, without fail, he became our entertainment. Either cracking a joke, jumping up to do his favorite dance, or showing off his rap skills, there was never a dull moment with Tyler around. These nights are in my heart forever. Tyler lost his battle with his illness June 14th, 2020. Tyler died by suicide. This is the day our family's lives changed forever. Now, almost 6 years later, the pain is still felt today. But as a family, we discovered the strength to move forward. By supporting each other, we learned to live around the grief. We learned to smile again. We formed Team Tyler to raise funds and help spread awareness supporting NAMI New Hampshire. His younger cousins hide kindness rocks in his favorite places to spread joy to others like he always did to us. We say Tyler's name and we share his stories to honor his memory and to open conversations so others know they are not alone. Tyler's life may have been a short 17 years, but his memory will live on with each of us. Our hope is that anyone going through this unimaginable loss can find the courage to live life. We hope to raise awareness and help end the stigma associated with suicide and mental illness. And we hope that every one of you can find the courage to continue your journey.
It's okay. I never said thank you for everything you all do, but I know deep down inside that my family always knew. Didn't make it right what I put you all through. If you weren't by my side in this battle, I would surely lose. I always said family is the people you choose. I would have it no other way than choosing you. We're all very stubborn and sometimes we're a little bit loud. Now it's time to march on and hold our heads up proud. I know Tyler's death killed a piece of us all. Could almost guarantee he wouldn't want our family to fall. There must have been a reason why he chose in that day. We just don't understand why he ended that way. I don't know what else I need to say, but thank you. I love you all. It's going to be okay. I'm Josh.
I'm Kim.
This
is our Brave.
My story starts at 18 years old. Being sick was exhilarating, running from my inhibition, from those who wanted to keep me safe, towards independence, this new part of me I was discovering, a reckless woman who just wanted to dance. I dropped out of college after my first year in Boulder, Colorado, traded in all my belongings, and started busking as a street performer with other artists. I was carefree, barefoot by day and sleeping in a hammock by night. I would ride the Amtrak train back and forth from Colorado and New Hampshire when I needed a fresh start. I lost my footing in pursuit of finding my authenticity. What started as manic summers and drug-induced psychosis led into homelessness, domestic violence, abortion. I felt isolated, trapped in this new terrifying life. I could no longer recognize myself, and I started to fear I would never fit back into society. I awoke from a concussion after a car accident to a state trooper at my bedside. "You could have really hurt someone," he said. "Didn't he know I was the one hurting here?" I was walked down the hall with hopes of leaving. Suddenly, the hallway narrowed and got dark. I knew where I was being escorted. Another locked observation unit. I dropped to the floor in sobs as multiple people dragged me into my fate, where I would be locked inside for days before transfer to an inpatient unit. I called this place the Purgatory. White walls, white sheets, a bed, and blue paper scrubs. Getting IEA'd, or involuntary emergency admission, locked inside, constantly observed, felt like a violation of privacy. I hated that feeling, knowing as I sat crying on a slimy mattress in a blank room, there was a handful of people watching me on the other side, judging me. So I got creative, ripping pieces of my blue paper scrub top and using the pounds of fresh snot from crying to stick the thin material onto the observation camera and distort their vision of me. I remember the day years later, as a mental health tech, I sat holding the hand of a patient in 4-point restraints. I had been in the same room, on the same bed, strapped to the bed and sedated. I remember softly fading into the darkness from the lull of the medicine, wishing not to be so alone. I remember the day I cross-trained as a nurse resident on the unit that had been my home for a few months. This time, I was on the other side of the locked door. I didn't know the name of the unit I stayed on, but I remembered this door. The shape of the halls outside of it, the craft room across the way. As we walked by the visitor entrance, I got on my tiptoes to peer into the tiny square window and finally see what it looked like from the other side. To peer down the hallway that I once paced up and down listening to music, where I would wait for my visitors and watch as they left me behind. These memories came from 3 psych hospitals where I have once been a patient and also a staff member. I was able to teach yoga to patients in these spaces, sharing the tool that helped me the most. Inpatient stays can seem scary, but they are a stabilizing force that stops a train wreck. Living on a conditional discharge was difficult, and I ran into more issues. It got worse before it got better. However, being legally bound to treatment forced me into taking the medication that treated the mania and opened my mind to therapy again. I built on this framework with daily routines, journaling, yoga. These skills slowed me down, and I eventually found my way. After more time and introspection, I worked hard for sobriety. Facing my bad habits and unhealthy relationship patterns, that was the real life changer. But this new lifestyle led to more loneliness. I was building a joyful relationship with my new partner, but who were my true friends without drugs and alcohol? I explored new hobbies, and I found a women's rock climbing group. These friendships were forged through trust. They inspire me to dig deep into my inner strength. The bliss of when. When I get there, I'll feel renewed. Envisioning this place excites me. It's a future I can palpate, but it's not where I am right now. When I accomplish that, I'll be understood. People will know my struggles. I'll no longer strive to explain, but expression is lost in the seeking. When I look that way, I'll feel confident. I'll finish this casting of armor to focus completely on the center. But our worth is built the other way around. When I let go, I'll cherish this moment, soak in the sights and sounds around me, pretend it's all that exists right now. But it's easy to forget to be present. We don't heal to the point of perfection. We don't get to the end of our recovery journey and check treatment off our list. It's a continuance, forever. Every day, I'll be learning how it feels to be me and function within this world. Every day is a new challenge. And to be honest, some days still really test me. During my career, I've had patients look at me in the eye and tell me, "You don't know what it's like to be locked up, homeless, or have mental illness." And I tell them, most people who choose to work in mental health have experienced it for themselves or someone close to them. Today, I'm proof that working in mental health has been a major source of growth, humility, and fulfillment in my life. My name is Gina, and this is my Brave.
My name is Patrick Dowling, and I'm here because two people I loved are not. My cousin Kristen died by suicide. My friend Bridget died from an overdose. And I'm here today because I survived 5 suicide attempts, chronic mental illness, addiction, homelessness, and involuntary psychiatric admissions. Kristen was passionate, outspoken, and full of life. But underneath that energy was deep depression and instability. In 2011, I opened Facebook and read her farewell letter. I don't remember every word, but I remember the physical feeling. My heart dropped, my body went cold. The last time I saw her was at a 4th of July party. She asked me if I could stay the night and talk. I said no, I wanted to go to a party, like any other selfish teenager. That lingering moment of regret still sits with me. But what I've come to understand is this: Kristen did not die because I went to a party. She died because our system failed to catch her before she fell. She lacked stable support, trauma-informed care, and a healthy community. She leaned on people who were not equipped to hold her pain. Then there was Bridget. Bridget was philosophical, brilliant, and spiritually curious. We bonded over our shared battles with addiction and mental illness. When I was heading into rehab, she was in a halfway house. She told me, if we conquer addiction, what's left is taking care of our mental health. When I got out of rehab after 28 days, I went to check on her. Her Facebook wall was filled with RIP posts. Another person gone, another preventable loss. We talk about overdose numbers, we talk about suicide statistics, but these were human beings with voices, humor, intelligence, and dreams. And I want to be very clear, these deaths are not isolated tragedies, they are policy failures. In my opinion, they lack the social support they need to stay alive, and they lack the community that they had. I have experienced involuntary emergency admissions, IEAs, where police arrived, handcuffed me, shackled my ankles, and transported me in restraints even though I was not violent. I was in pain, I was sick, I was suicidal. But I was treated like a criminal. During one transfer between hospitals, I was fully shackled, wrists and ankles. I remember thinking, I feel like a horror movie villain. That moment did not build trust in mental health care, it broke it. If someone is in psychiatric crisis but not violent, why are we defaulting to law enforcement transport models? We need policy reform that mandates non-law enforcement crisis transport teams, train mental health responders, discrete vehicles to intact dignity and avoid humiliation, no handcuffs unless there is clear danger. Crisis response should reduce trauma, not add to it. One of my psychiatric admissions led directly to homelessness. After discharge, I had nowhere to go. I was dropped at a shelter in Manchester. I saw open drug use while waiting for a bed. The moment I stepped outside of that car, I had a tin full thing of pizza, and right when I walked out, some homeless person asked me for my tinfoil. Not because he needed it to do any Tupperware stuff, but because he needed it to do some drugs. After discharge, I was told there was a 24-hour wait list. This is what happens when mental health discharge planning is not tied to housing stability. We cannot continue discharging psychiatric patients into homelessness and expect recovery. Housing must be integrated into behavioral health policy. Which brings me to solutions. First, we need crisis response reform. Dedicated mental health rapid response teams separate from police, no flashing lights, no shackles for compliant patients, trauma-informed transport protocols written into law. Second, we need psychiatric environments designed for healing. Research consistently shows environments affect behavior. Instead of sterile, tense wars that escalate agitation, we should create calm spaces, an environment that resembles healing like a yoga studio, animal therapy, nutritional support like the ketogenic diet, integrative therapies alongside medication management, such as Reiki, acupuncture, and any other type of, and binaural beat frequency healings. Third, we need innovative housing solutions tied directly to recovery. I propose partnering with vocational and technical high schools to build tiny homes as part of construction-trained programs. These homes could create structured recovery communities funded through state grants, workforce development funds, and housing initiatives. Residents would receive on-site social workers, access to medication-assisted treatment like methadone and Suboxone, mental health counseling, job training and community reintegration pathways, tiered privilege systems that reward stability and progress. I don't see this as charity, I see this as investment. It reduces emergency room visits, incarceration costs, and repeat hospitalizations. Most of the homeless individuals I met were not lazy. They were mentally ill, traumatized, addicted, or all three. And yet when I was sleeping outside, the very people society ignores gave me cardboard and a tarp so I wouldn't sleep on concrete. They had compassion, our system should too. I stand here today because I chose to fight for my life. I use resources like the 98 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. I ask for help when I need it, but survival should not require near-death experiences. Kristen should not still be here. Bridget should still be here, and I should not have had to nearly die 5 times to finally receive stable support. We cannot keep saying mental health matters while funding crisis-only interventions and ignoring housing transport reform and post-discharge stability. If we want fewer funerals, fewer overdoses, and fewer suicide notes, we must build systems that intervene earlier, respond humanely, and stabilize people long-term. No more slipping through the cracks, not on my watch. I am Patrick, and this is my Brave.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jay. I'm a recovering addict and alcoholic.
Hi, Jay.
Hey, guys. When I was a teenager, I dabbled with different drugs and drank alcohol, just trying to fit in, have some fun. Then one day I realized I lost the power of choice. I no longer had control over the one thing that made me feel good. I was a slave to it. My disease of addiction wreaked havoc on my life and everything in it. My disease wants me dead. Here, I'll explain. The way you are and who you've become is the way I've made you, and I've just begun. You've tried to fight me time after time. Every time that you relapse makes me stronger inside. I trick you and stick you and make you think I'm your friend. It's your life that I'm after again and again. Haven't you noticed you feel empty inside? Full of shame and guilt, no heart, no pride? I started when you were little, you didn't even know. The people around you smoking pot and selling blow. I made sure you saw things kids shouldn't see. I'm proud of how you've grown up, my perfect disease. You're 45 years old now. Tell me what you've learned. I'm a fight you'll never win. I'm not concerned. You can do different things and try different ways. I'll take over your thoughts and destroy your days. Take a look inside you. What do you see? There's nothing nice, and it's all because of me. Let's make a list of the things I took. I just felt you get scared. Let's just look. The fear you just felt was from stuffing it all inside. I thrive off that shit. It's how I survive. Let's get real. Let's get clear. I'm all that's inside you. I'm always right here. I want you to know, my child, you're safe with me. So let's get to that list so everyone sees. There you go. That's what I want. Put it all on paper. I've torn you apart. It's dark and scary. We're about to dig. I think it'll be easier if you load up a rig. Look at you now, crying in fear. You can't even write because you feel me right here. Remember when you started stealing other people's money? I was so proud of my child, and I thought it was funny. Little did you know it would get so bad. Armed robbing a store, off to prison, with your 1.5-year-old daughter thinking, where's my dad? I followed you to prison and made sure most days that you were lonely and heartbroken, kept using and led astray. Waiting every day for money and mail too, realizing most don't care for you. All those people you thought were your friends was an illusion I made for you all pretend. Let's not forget while you're in there, you tried to get clean. To me, it wasn't fair. I got so mad after all we've been through. You were smiling, not sad. I didn't know what to do. I'm sorry, my child, but I took your dad's life. I stopped his heart and his liver while getting you divorced from your wife. I knew that would crush you, fill you with sorrow and pain. I always get what I want. With me, you remained. Your dad was real tough, but he drank himself dead. He never checked on his health while I controlled his head. I'm cunning and baffling, and before you know, I'll take your life from you quickly with one single blow. Our life got worse throughout the years. I caused you heartache. I caused you tears. The misery and hell we put everyone through, it was really me when they thought it was you. Controlling you was my twisted game. All your family who loved you thought you went insane. I'm sometimes camouflaged like black in the night. I sit real quiet, waiting to strike. You drank and you drugged for years to come, trusting in me over and over again. Man, you're dumb. I've had you rob. I've had you steal. I make you buy drugs instead of a meal. You love your mom dearly, and I know that. I force you to fight with each other and say things you regret. I make you do such terrible things, stealing and pawning people's wedding rings. You got arrested and beat up by the COs in the Valley Street Jail. Mom loves you. 45 days she came up with bail. I took your babies from you swiftly, right at the perfect time. I kept you using and using, blocking your feelings, heart, and mind. I knew that would hurt you, bring you to your knees. You're my perfect creation, my perfect disease. 29 times I've had you dead. I thought I had you, but your team came instead. God and your guardian angels came down from the sky. I said, let him be. He's dead and he's mine. Before I knew it, I couldn't see. A bright light inside you had blinded me. I'm the dark and I'm powerful. I win when I fight. But those 29 times, the dark lost to light. Why are you so special? Where'd I go wrong? You're not listening to me anymore. Why are you living so long? I control your love. I take your soul. I'm the one that makes you feel whole. You're making me furious, so here's a low blow. I want you to run. I'm telling you to go. Your fiancé, the woman who has the key to your heart, my claws are buried deep in her, tearing her apart. I know you want to go help her. Her life I'll not spare. Quick, hurry, go save her. I'll meet you right there. I know you love her. Why are you going so slow? Praying for her's not enough. I need you to physically go. You know you can't trust him, the Almighty and High. I'm who's been with you, not him in the sky. You're supposed to be weak, not continue to fight. Did you hear that list? I've destroyed your whole life. I hate when you get clean. You have a huge heart. It makes things harder for me to break you apart. I'm sick of watching my life go by. I'm chasing sobriety. It's a brand new high. You're at rehab again, trying to change our ways. Real friends, laughing, smiling, having good days. Oh, my child, I don't know what to do. You're strong, not hurting. I'm losing you. I just expose you to my friends and my peers. I'm not scared of you now. I'm facing my fears. My family, my freedom, my kids, what you took from me, I'm taking it back slowly, you'll see. Whatever I have to do, whatever I have to explore, I'm willing to do it and open all doors. I'm tough and I'm strong and I'm built to survive. Remember, you're who made me. My past is my thrive. I'm sick of being who you want me to be, and I'm moving forward now, and it's just for me. Please don't go. I need you one last time. Just pick up for me once, number 30, and you'll die. We can have a nice gravestone for everyone to see. They'll cry as they look because they'll know it was from me. From a young boy, I molded this perfect disease. Let's stop this now. Let's do drugs or drink. Let's go do both. We could talk and we'll think. I got a lot to learn, long to live. I'm clean for me now, then I could be there for my kids. What's the matter, disease? Where are you now? Don't you want to grab me and bring me more hell? It feels good when you try to bring me down because I fight and I do the right thing and I feel real proud. I want you to remember me every second of each day. I'll always be with you, stalking my prey. With God, clean friends, focus and pride, I know I'm late, but I feel I've arrived. Let's not forget, you're the one who made me. I'm saying goodbye. I'm your perfect disease. My name is Jay, and this is my brave.
Hey everyone. I'm just another girl with daddy issues. I have anxious attachment, fear of rejection, and fear of abandonment. In my mind, silence equals punishment. I'm in my 16th year of EMS, and I have seen things that nightmares are made of. From the marathon bombing to the pandemic, I've witnessed a lot of death. I live in survival mode most of the day, where my nervous system is in constant fight or flight, searching for safety. I've spent years learning to mourn the dead, but nothing prepared me for the pain of grieving someone who's still alive. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to invite you, my soon-to-be closest 300 friends, into my brain. So grab a snack, buckle up, keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times, and enjoy the ride. I had a typical good childhood. My dad was always present growing up, volunteering at school events, being the cool parent, and blaring the best music in the car. He worked hard and always provided anything I needed. Teenage years were teenage years. I physically fought my way through high school, hid my first tattoo at a very illegal age, and spent nights drinking at playgrounds with a backpack full of Mike's Hard Lemonade. I used to tell my parents I was sleeping at a friend's house when, in reality, I was sneaking into nightclubs with fake IDs. But no matter where I was or what I needed, he was always there for me. I could wake him up in the middle of the night for anything. He was always around for a ride, to help fund a trip, and to be my loudest fan in the crowd. I was his little girl for sure. But my parents' fights, they got intense. I can remember the yelling, screaming, and the embarrassment. That house was always unpredictable. I remember covering my ears, putting on loud music, and finding any excuse not to be home. Once I found my way out of there, I never looked back. But it wasn't till my 20s that I really started to unfold. It was a regular Sunday dinner in February at my grandfather's. Dad and I had the usual dinner of rigatoni and salad. And as the night ended, we said goodbye. I went back to my apartment, and everything felt normal. Little did I know, it was the last normal night I will ever spend with him. Shortly after I left, he called my mother, told her he wasn't coming home, like ever again. My phone was ringing off the hook between the two of them. I stopped answering, locked myself in the bathroom, sat on the edge of the bathtub, and cried my eyes out. Soon after came a diet of cocaine and Tito's, which now that I think about it is probably the only diet that I stuck with for years. When he left her, he left me too. During their divorce hearing, I heard him say he never even lived with us, just visited. He moved on from his old life and started a whole new one. Calls became less frequent, visits were non-existent. He would send messages through my grandfather for me not to go to any family funerals or functions. He would give back any cards or gifts that I would try to pass on to him. Connections to his side of the family were cut. I missed so much for so long. I felt like the family burden, the embarrassment, the black sheep. I couldn't even ask about him. Everyone was forbidden to talk to me about him, and they still are. Fast forward, April 15th, 2013, the Boston Marathon bombing. I remember vividly sitting passenger with lights and sirens blaring and updating my grandfather with the hopes of, Dad's definitely gonna call. I mean, really, who wouldn't call their daughter after working the aftermath of a terrorist attack, right? Well, days and months went by. I got engaged and married, pregnant with his only grandchild, and still, not a call, not a card, not a care. He moved to Florida with no warning, no goodbye. My thinking slowly started to shift to how can I get him to even remember I exist? The number of red flags that went off in my brain looked like a 3-ring circus. The thoughts got thick and heavy. I was teetering on a thin line. I would say to myself, it'd be a real shame if my brakes stopped working, and then I'd envision the car flipping over. Or maybe I'll take a short walk across 93 North to play a quick game of real-life Frogger. Yeah, that one entered my mind more than I'd care to admit. I started pricing out burial plots for myself and created a funeral playlist, complete with pictures. Do you think he'd send a beautiful floral arrangement? Or maybe a fruit basket? But the whole time really thinking, is this how I get him to show up? I didn't want to hurt myself on purpose. I didn't have a plan, but I didn't want to prevent it either. My hope was, what if he had to come here and see me and tie up all the loose ends and say all the things that he needed to say right before oh, Leah, shut up. Shut up. Bury it deep, stop talking, and use that pretty smile to tell everyone, guys, I'm fine. I'm really not fine. When my grandfather died in January of 2019, I lost my best friend, the last fighting connection to my dad. At his funeral, I was approached with, oh, I never knew he had an eldest daughter. That's right, in the middle of all this, I had been replaced. I found out he was married with 2 very young children after reading, wait for it, my grandfather's obituary. He had himself a replacement daughter, and I became a mere figment of his past life. Months later, I looked around. Guys, everyone was gone. My grandfather died, my dad moved away, my closest family all moved to different states. I was always bracing for the goodbyes that never came. I felt lost, alone, and I had no one to help me through it. I refused to let anyone know that I was falling apart. After all, what groups cater to the grieving memory of someone who's actually still alive? Or a grown adult whose parents just got divorced? Hint, there aren't any. For a long time, I wished it were me in that casket instead of my grandfather. I learned that getting too attached to people doesn't mean a thing. They leave, they die. I mean, if my dad can leave me and never talk to me again, then why the hell would anyone else want me around? What part of me is so unlovable that it makes me unworthy? Is love really so fragile that it can disappear without any warning? Well, 5 years of weekly therapy and a trial of daily medications later, I can tell you this. Even though I still get triggered by a slight change of tone or a delayed response, I still have that deep-rooted fear of being pushed away or rejected. I am good enough. I'm creating a level of independence and balance with healthy boundaries. I've learned to celebrate my own accomplishments quietly and proudly on my own. I've held newborn babies as they take their first breath, and I've held the hands of those taking their last. I finished my master's degree at 40 years old in healthcare emergency management, working specifically with survivors of crisis and disaster. I am a strong, healthy mom, and I enjoy being alive again. He can't take that away from me anymore. So to move forward, I've had to experience every stage of grief to get to acceptance. Acceptance of who he is, acceptance of all the apologies I'll never get, and acceptance of burying someone who's still breathing. If I could visit the younger version of myself, I wouldn't say a word. I'd just hug her and let her cry. That was all she needed, and she still grew into someone that I am proud of. So yes, I am just another girl with daddy issues. I have anxious attachment, fear of rejection, and fear of abandonment. In my mind, silence equals punishment. I am proud to be in my 16th year of EMS, and even though I've seen the things that nightmares are made of, I know I made a difference. From the marathon bombing to the pandemic, I've saved a lot of lives. I still live in survival mode most of the day with my nervous system in constant fight or flight, searching for safety. I spent years learning to mourn the dead, but nothing prepared me for the pain of grieving my dad, who's still alive. My name is Leah, and this is my brave.
Oh, all right. Whew. All right. All right. I want to fight whoever came up with the name attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It's like pointing at the Atlantic and calling it a pond. It doesn't even scratch the surface. Come, climb into my skull, and let me take you on a tour of one of the DSM's most misleading misnomers. First, we've got sensory overload, house party in my head, packed wall to wall with bodies, cicada buzz of a dozen different conversations, never-ending pressure screaming for release. Next, we've got task paralysis, a deer in the headlights of oncoming traffic. Here's a math problem for you. It is now 10 a.m., and I have something to do at 1 p.m. Will I make some phone calls, read a book, or do the dishes? Trick question. The answer is none of the above. Instead, I think about all the things I should do and rot in indecision until I must necromance my bones into motion. And here we have overspending. Marvel at the vast collection of books bought in bulk when I blacked out in a cozy little bookstore. The instruments gathering dust, I got bored of learning to play within weeks of holding them in my hands. Oh, and then there's rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria. Constructive criticism means I'll never amount to anything. Unanswered texts mean that you secretly hate me and want me to disappear. Now, we come to the part of the tour that nobody wants to talk about. Over here, we have intrusive thoughts. They burst in, and I flinch as they blare radio static in my brain, show me a tapestry of things I do not want to see, but I just can't tame the cacophony. Then we've got my impulsive tongue. It trips over itself constantly, too excited, too fast, too reckless, stuttering and stumbling towards certain disaster while the voice of reason screams, "Slow down! Don't say that! Stop talking! Just stop!" And at last, we come to the end, the spiral. Inside my echo chamber skull, I am my own Greek tragedy. Here, I take a single grievance and watch as it blooms into nuclear fallout. Here, I can fixate on all my mistakes and produce 1,000 worst-case scenarios. Replay them over and over until I believe that I am too much and not enough, a plague on the ones I love. I want to break my own jaw to keep from speaking. I want to tear out my brain to keep from thinking. And you, my friends, will only see the symptoms and never the sickness. will only see all my impulse and inattention, never knowing that inside I am screaming down these empty corridors, and all I can hear is my own echo. So, a friend of mine was in last year's showcase and encouraged me to audition. I figured it was worth a shot, and so I did. But I was still surprised when I got the call confirming that I'd be a part of this year's show. A wave of emotions crashed over me, but the prevailing one was imposter syndrome. Like, I didn't belong on this stage. Like, I am fine. My story is nothing compared to everyone else's. But staying silent, convincing myself that I was fine, was its own kind of betrayal, especially when I had so many people around me to make sure I didn't have to do this alone. So I stand on this stage tonight because my experiences are valid and deserve being talked about. Our stories are so important, and we cannot keep shaming ourselves for our struggles. We can tear down these walls graffitied with stigma only after we open ourselves up and share our stories. Healing and growing starts here in spaces just like this. My name is Mike, and this is our Brave.